Yo, welcome back. I'm your host, B. Ryder.
Boy, if you don't...
Co-host,
J. Bell.
and this is
Final thoughts.
today's topic. Abortion is worse than slavery.
Yeah.
Who knew? Let's check it out.
Abortion's worse than slavery.
Well,
I don't care if this hurts your feelings. I don't care. Abortion is the number one worst human rights issue that has ever happened on American soil. I feel the need to compare the two because our society is completely desensitized to what abortion is.
Yeah.
And our generation, especially in Gen Z, has no idea how atrocious abortion is and what a human rights issue it is. Slavery, because it really forces people to think. Because what's the worst human rights issue that everybody talks about? Slavery. And yes, of course, it was heinous, it was wrong, it was immoral, it was disgusting. We all know that. But once you put slavery and abortion in the same sentence, it really forces you to understand the true atrocities of abortion. I've said this many times.
Yeah.
It is the number one human rights issue that is going on in our country right now.
We've come a long way.
Yes. Yes, we have. But we have to speak the truth.
Yes, even though you don't like it.
Yeah.
Y'all may not like this episode.
You're going to hate it.
Oh, hell no!
Right.
I'm sure.
So, bitter pill, but here it is, y'all.
Yeah.
This is the absolute truth. This bitch is wild.
Oh, you motherfuckers.
What the fuck is wrong with people?
Too much caffeine? Not enough sex?
Yeah. Are you that conservative to the point where you just have no understanding about anything about what you're saying? What?
I don't
Abortion is worse than slavery?
Worse.
Get out.
She was like adamant about it. Like,
Yeah.
it's worse, and let me tell you why.
Aren't there like many different ways people have to get abortions? Not just be like, I just don't want the kid, I want to get an abortion. Aren't there other ways where
There are
abortion
other
happens?
reasons, that exists.
Yeah, not ways, but reasons. Yeah,
for abortion. Like, and that was my issue with that. Is like I trying to understand where she was coming from with this.
So you failed.
Right.
Yeah.
And I still haven't. I still don't get it. I still don't see what she's saying, because even if you're talking about individual slavery versus individual abortion, the slavery's still worse. If you're talking about the concept of slavery versus the concept of abortion, slavery's still worse.
Yeah.
Like, I can't follow. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't understand it either. And I'm just like, is this like to get more views? Like, do you really feel like this? Because this is crazy. So, in my opinion, my viewpoint, we're talking about a collection of cells that's being aborted versus a human that went to term and has nerve endings and has a brain and can psychologically be affected by
Their environment.
and like a slave master and seeing their parents get whipped into submission and being whipped themselves, or in some parts, sometimes being raped.
Yeah.
A fetus or a collection of cells, a baby, whatever you want to call it, never had to experience this kind of stuff. Yeah. Right? It was terminated before it could even get to that stage. Mm-hmm. So in what way is this worse?
Dude, I don't get it. I don't get it either.
I just don't understand it. And she said it was the worst thing that happened on American soil. So you gotta compare it to slavery.
Yeah. I don't understand why the need, and she talked about that in her video, like
What?
addressing why she felt the need to compare the two, even though I don't think anyone else would. She was saying that it was basically a way to I guess make it more sensitive, because she felt like people
Been
were
desensitized to
to the
abortion.
idea of abortion. So let's compare it to slavery and make people more sensitive to it.
It still doesn't work.
You lose. Good day, sir.
Not,
It's
in
stupid.
my opinion.
Yeah.
What the? Like,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
What are we doing here?
To
What
me-
are we doing?
to me, it's
you
take-
really feel this way?
It's taking the realism out away from it's making
yeah,
it more
it's-
slavery more desensitized.
You're undermining what really happened in slavery.
Yeah, basically, and that's already an issue that we're facing in our public schools and whatnot.
CRT.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's already
Critical
a thing
race
that's
theory.
happening.
Yeah.
So it's like you want to do it more by putting abortion on the same plane as slavery. Like I don't even understand why. Like I've heard people like compare the Holocaust and slavery, or Japanese internment, or the genocide of the Native Americans. Like those things I can kind of understand the comparison, but abortion, I don't.
Yeah, I'm like, so the baby got aborted.
Right. Yeah.
It never got to live a life. For some reason, that's more important than someone that's actually living a fucking life.
He's out of line, but he's right.
And that's wild.
Yeah.
That is wild. Okay, all right, cool. You're calling them both lives, right? But one is here, like on the plane, a surface, whatever you want to call it. They can experience things. They can recall things. They can learn things. They can do things. And you're saying that one is worse than the other? I don't understand why people who don't like abortion or against it or whatever is saying that it's worse, because it's crazy. It's like they have people here. You do realize this, right? They're experiencing horrible shit. They have kids that starve all the time. They have kids that go to foster homes that don't get really good foster parents, and we just want to keep creating kids forcibly, even through rape. Don't you like work with somebody that's just
Yeah.
What was that conversation?
Yeah. It was weird just because, like, and it was, we talk about these type of things all the time, and he said, we were on the topic of abortion, for whatever reason, it comes up sometimes, and he said that basically he wasn't okay with abortion at all in any sense. And some of us were like, fellow co-worker, and some of us were like, well, I understand, kind of, trying to give him some leeway to explain himself, but surely you don't feel that way in the case of like rape or anything like that, or incest. And he was like, no, I do.
God damn!
Across the board, clear across the board, you shouldn't be able to get an abortion. If you get raped, you should have that baby. You should be forced to carry the term regardless. And it was kind of like one of those moments where everybody was like, wow.
Well, this is awkward.
Really? Like, I have never met anyone who was that staunch in their opinion about, pro-life, and their pro-life opinion. Like, usually, even Republicans, conservatives that I know, aren't that strict, aren't that diehard about it. But he was the first one I ever met that was like, sorry. Not
End of story. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. You gotta carry that baby.
Go to term.
And anything other than that is murdering a child. And I'm just like, wow. Like, there's no room there's no nuance here, no detail, no excuses, no nothing. And that might have kind of be what she's saying in this, is like, this is the level that abortion should be on. This is the level of seriousness that we should take it as. It's just murder.
It's not that serious. Trust me, I know that.
I'm sorry, but I feel like murder, as they call it, versus torture and murder.
It's not going, you know what I'm saying? It ain't going, nah.
I think
Which
there's
is what
one that's
slavery
worse.
is.
I think there's yeah, because slaves were murdered.
Yeah.
You know, they broke down the strongest person to make an example, to make sure that the slaves fell in line and like, yeah, you shoot, you know, old dude right there, they killed him in front of everybody to make sure that we all fall in line. And that was psychological. Physical for the person that died.
Yeah.
But it was psychological for everyone else, and they passed that shit down to generation after generation after generation. Yeah. And it's kind of crazy that you're weighing the scales and saying, well, they never got a chance to actually, I don't know, I don't want to say live because they think it's already alive, but they never got a chance to do whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, well, this person did, and this was their fate. Yeah. You don't think this is worse? Like circumcision as a child versus circumcision as an adult. Circumcision as a child, you have no recollection of it. You just were circumcised. Yeah. You went through pain.
Yeah, it was.
As a child, you went through pain. But as an adult, you remember it. True. Which one do you think is worse? Not remembering and not having any recollection of what happened versus remembering all of the...
I think he's going to want a little longer this time.
You know,
like that snip.
Yeah.
Remembering that issue.
Yeah.
You want to remember that. I fail to understand it, the comparison, probably because it's a poor one.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
It's a very stupid comparison to make.
Yeah.
First off, like you shouldn't compare these two things
at all.
In the first place, it shouldn't happen. And secondly, it doesn't make sense even in the comparison. Because abortion isn't generational. It's not. No. You don't abort a child and then everyone in your family has to abort their child as well. That's not how that works.
Right.
Slavery, chattel slavery in particular, is generational.
Yep.
Like you are a slave, your child is a slave, their child is a slave, and it keeps on going. So you can have 5 generations of slaves based off of one person being enslaved initially. Mm-hmm. You don't get that out of abortion. You don't. That isn't the recourse of that. That isn't the repercussion of that. So help me,
nigga.
Help me understand something that doesn't make sense, please.
They can't make you understand something that doesn't make sense. So.
You're a freaking genius, you idiot!
We can start there.
And I've been helped. But you have any final thoughts on this?
My final thoughts is that people are going to have their opinions about things, but your opinion should not be the law. Your opinion should not be the law. One more time. Gotcha. Not saying it again.
Got him!
Because you understood it the first time, right? You're going to have your beliefs. You think that a collection of cells, or whenever the term is, right, is a baby. You have sex and there's, conception. There are now 3 people in the room. I disagree. I think it's still 2 people. And one person's carrying a collection of cells. And I don't like the fact that we're overshadowing actual people and over prioritizing things that aren't people. Because we have people here. We have starving kids here. We have kids that are in the foster care system. We have so many things that's wrong with the kids that are here that we're willing to focus on this and essentially rewind the clock back 50 years and take away a right that women deserve to have. Even if it's not just about, I just want to have an abortion. There are women who are raped. There's incest. There's so many situations you can think about in your head where we should not take this right away. And yet we're like I said, people's beliefs are overpowering anything else that they can think about, and they're a person in this society, and these people are toxic to our society. And that's my opinion, and I stand on it.
I stand behind it. I guarantee it.
These people are toxic. They don't care about anything other than their belief system, because their belief system is true, is right, is correct, and everything that we're doing now is a perversion from like their of their religion. And here we are thinking that taking the rights away from a woman is okay. This is my last little piece. If you had a daughter, your daughter was raped, and she's like 13, 14 years old. She's pregnant, for sure. And she's begging you, mommy, daddy, please, 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 let me have an abortion. Let me get rid of this child. And you're going to say no? Because God won't place on you too much that you can't bear? Or because you're killing a kid, you're going to really tell your kid that? I feel like you're unfit. And you probably should have your kids taken away.
Damn.
This motherfucker spitting.
So, my final thoughts on this is, I mean, I absolutely agree. Because this is just a weird space to be in. It's basically confirming everything that we already believe. That people like this, they care about life. They call themselves pro-life, but they only care about it while it's inside you. Once it leaves a woman's body, they don't give a shit about kids out here. They really don't care less. To make this comparison that abortion is worse than slavery basically means, it's like she's saying that stopping a life from coming to this planet is worse than having a life suffer while it's here. That's basically what she's saying. That's all I'm hearing, right? And it's pretty much indicative of what a lot of conservatives or Republican politicians already believe. They don't care about your kids that are here. They care about the ethereal concept of a baby that might come. That's what they care more about. And she's showing that in her rhetoric. So it's really stupid. There's really nothing more to say about it. But the idea, what we were talking about earlier, like slaves being on the slave ship, sailing to a new world, right? You had slaves on the ship that literally jumped to their death. Leapt to their death. They knew that they were going to drown, that they were going to die. And they chose that over being a slave because they knew what was coming. So how could we even sit here and make this comparison?
Chills. When
you have people our ancestors who chose death over bondage, right? At the end of the day, this is a dumb comparison to make. And we all know that there are plenty of people, plenty of our ancestors back in the day who were slaves, who, if they knew what they were going to get into, they probably would have said, I would rather I just not be here. I would rather you just had taken me out in the womb than suffer through this. Some of y'all are probably in that situation now. Some of y'all are in a situation where you're struggling and you would rather not be here. You have people who commit suicide all the time, who feel like their lives, there's too much stress in their lives, and they can't deal with it. So for us, this whole concept is just stupid. It's just a dumb thing. But here we are, having to have this conversation, which is the most frustrating thing. But those are my final thoughts.
That was good.
Mm-hmm. Good and terrible.
So
that was good.
Thank you all for listening to our ramblings once again. I don't know if you noticed my new digs. Spectacles. If you did, thank you.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you right.
But as I show y'all,
creepy.
Leave a comment, like, subscribe. If you like that show, comment creepy at the bottom.
Really, nigga?
I'm your host, B. Ryder, co-host
J. Bell,
and this has been
Final Thoughts.